So I bet if you're watching this video, then you're probably working 60 hours per week and you're studying full time and you probably have a family, or you just have like friends to upkeep as well. So I've got news for you. I'm in the same boat as well. And in today's video, I thought I'd be sharing how I am able to keep productive while doing so many different things. And the secret is that it's called a little word F-U-N, fun. And Ali Abdal actually wrote a book about this. He calls his book Feel Good Productivity. And like some of the concepts in his new book, I've only read like a bit of it and I quite resonate. So I'm Conrad and I'm a chartered accountant student. I've got lots of business on the side and I work full time. So I'm going to be sharing 5 tips today that actually help me when it comes to my studying to make it more fun. And like the last one is going to be like classical, you know, all the YouTubers say this, it's going to be the best one. So you better watch to the end. Let's get into it. Okay, so the first concept is called gamification. And I've read so many studies about this and I've taken basically the best things and I've been using them in my studying. So for those of you who don't know what gamification is, it's basically like using the thought processes or the way they think about games, how to make it so addictive, and like using that in your studies. So things like XP bars, you know, where you like can see, okay, now I'm leveling up. I killed a dragon or whatever, and I'm leveling up. Or modern warfare, you know, you're leveling up. Then also things like rewards, making your failing like more easier and more repetitive, so that it isn't such a big task. And like a few other things. But I actually made a video about this, like how I incorporate it into a Notion template, and I'll link it up there for you. But basically the most important thing when you're doing this gamification is find ways to make your studying more like a game. Like maybe put some nice theme music in the back. Like I like listening to Hobbit music or like lo-fi music. And that is like genuinely like quite soothing for me. So when I've got my headphones on and I'm listening to music, and it just feels like time is passing really quickly and I could just focus. The second one is something I actually use quite often, right? It is setting fake deadlines. Now, the power of setting fake deadlines is super powerful. And I actually learned this concept last year as well. And basically what you do is you make specific test dates for yourself. So let's say your exam is in 3 months. You would make a test date in month 1 and then month 2 and then like 3 weeks before the time, 2 weeks before the time. And then you literally like write a test or whatever, make self-assessments, and then you'd score yourself. And now, obviously, this plays into the thing of like spaced repetition, all those scientifically proven study methodologies. That's a fancy word for you guys. And like another way that you can incorporate this that I actually do sometimes is that I set a weekly review. So like maybe on a Sunday when you've got a bit more time and you don't really have too much work to do, sit down and actually say, okay, listen, what deadlines can I set this week? What tasks do I need to do? And then you basically just set, literally it's in the word, you set a fake deadline and that pushes you to like, you know, get going. And, you know, because stress is also like a powerful motivator. You shouldn't forget that. And yeah, it's quite powerful. Now, the next point, number 3, is like something that will scare some of you. And to be honest, it's like quite a scary concept for myself as well. And that is creating public accountability. So I actually learned this concept from a podcast. It was a guy named Stephen Bartlett. For those of you who don't know, he has like Diary of a CEO, the podcast, and like it's really good. So basically we're speaking about creating public accountability. Like if you're struggling to do something, lose weight or study or whatever, like say it out loud in front of people. And that like generally gives this sort of accountability towards like you need to go and do it. So how I personally apply this is like with my family, I live with my family still because I'm still a student. I would just like randomly say, I need to go and study tonight. And then it's like already like 4 or 5 p.m. And then that would actually like force me to like pick up my stuff and go and sit down and like, because they say usually just like go and sit down and do it for 2 minutes, even if you don't really feel like doing it. And that genuinely like moves the needle for me. Some of you can incorporate this on like first social media. I don't really do that, but I'm sure you can maybe like do something similar in that aspect. And that brings us nice to number 4, which is create a pleasant learning environment. And like all of you who actually watch my videos know that I am a strong advocate of a plant, right? Like one of these cheap plants that you can buy on Takealot or on Amazon, whatever. And I've actually got like a few of them. Some of them are like here in the background, and then another one is on my desk here. And basically that just makes your studying environment feel good. I've also got a cool keyboard. I've invested quite a lot of money into this keyboard. And you know, one of the best things for me is when I come and sit down and study that I have like the right equipment. And I know it might be expensive and you might think, oh, it's a waste. But like literally, think about it. You're spending so much time at your desk, 60 hours a week sometimes, and then also 10 hours on top of that for studying if you're not studying more. So it makes sense to invest that money and actually make it like invest in quality equipment, invest in mechanical keyboards, invest in good headphones, invest in a good chair, you know, like just make your environment pleasant, and then you're going to want to spend more time studying. Now the last tip is something I learned from Matthew Dix. And this is actually quite something that can really move the needle if you apply it. Like I said, this is really practical. And it's basically called the 5-minute coffee. Now, what he means by the 5-minute coffee, well, that's not the exact name, that's the name I gave it, is that basically when you're doing in between tasks. So let's say you have a work task and then you've got like a 10-minute break before your next meeting. He says that if you use those 10 minutes, you can actually like progress. Now he's an author and he uses the like writing as an example, and he says that the writer that uses that spare time could maybe write 2 or 3 sentences, and in that small time 2 or 3 sentences builds up. Like if you think about your day, you've got lots of 5-minute, 10-minute intervals, so it's all about like using these small pockets of time during your day to do something productive, and it really increases your productivity. Like just try it for 1 week and then you will see like it has some benefits. So I know some of you will be interested in that Notion template video of mine. Like literally I built the whole template out of like gamification methods. That's like out of 5 or 6 studies that I read, and I incorporated gamification methods into the Notion template. So basically if you want to go watch that video, how to use like gamification to benefit your studies, then I'm going to link it up here for you guys. But otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers.